Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Where is Zur, the IGN show, where we find Zur and we look at his inventory. I'm Ty Guy Travis, and today you can find Zur in the tower. He's hanging out at his usual spot over here in the hangar, hanging out on a ledge, so let's go and pay him a visit. Alright, so once you're in the tower, go ahead and immediately turn to your left. You're going to run down this way through some paths. Once you get in the hangar, you're going to hang a left, and you'll find him hanging out on a ledge. Alright, and here is old Snakeface himself, so let's go ahead and see what he's got this week. Alright, so first up, his exotic weapon is Graviton Lance. This is a great exotic weapon, used to be a huge part of the meta, maybe it will be again someday. If you don't have this OG weapon, go ahead and pick it up now. Then there's Khepri Sting. This is a great exotic for hunters. However, it's only got 63 overall stats, really high mobility, really high strength. Mobility and strength actually might be great for this exotic, but with 63 overall stats, it's hard to get super excited about this one, so I would probably skip this. Titans, same kind of deal. Mobility is less desirable on a Titan, and this has 12 of that. But Discipline's nice. Unfortunately, it's just low stat. This is a great exotic, though, so if you don't have it, maybe grab it anyway. And then finally, Verity's Brow. This is a Warlock exotic, not my favorite Warlock exotic. And unfortunately, like the other exotics this week, not very high stat, unfortunately. So I'd probably skip really all of the exotic armor this week. The exotic weapon, on the other hand, I really like this gun, so you should grab it if you don't have it. Moving on to legendary weapons, we have got False Promises, the auto rifle. This has Zen Moment, which I quite like. Underdog I like less. But it does have a stability masterwork, which is probably my favorite masterwork on auto rifles, so I might consider this one. Then there's Whispering Slab. This is firmly planted and unrelenting. I don't really like this roll. The bow is fine, but the roll is not my favorite, so I'd skip it. Then we've got Survivor's Epitaph. This has Surplus and Moving Target, which I quite like. One Quiet Moment, maybe the most useless perk ever. I think they're taking it out of the game. But Moving Target is very good for hand cannons. And Surplus, I don't mind, personally, although it does sort of lock you out of your abilities. Only problem here is the reload speed masterwork. I don't really consider this particularly useful in hand cannons unless it's one with a super low reload. So I don't know. This is an okay roll for me. Halfway there, I think. Then we've got Iota Draconic. This has Surplus and Harmony. I really don't like this roll. This weapon itself is kind of just mid, so I'd probably skip it. Then we've got 7th Seraph CQC. That's Close Quarters Combat here. This has auto-loading holster and shield disorient, so this might be a pretty good PvE option, frankly. I definitely consider it. Auto-loading holster is quite good. So on a shotgun specifically, and it's got reload speed masterwork, which I'm quite a fan of. So this is definitely one to consider if you are interested in a PvE shotgun. Then we've got Tarantula. This has got box breathing, which is great. Genesis, which is okay on a fusion rifle. I'm refreshing my memory here. Yeah, okay on a fusion rifle. And it's got a charge time masterwork. So overall on this one, box breathing is I quite like it on linear fusion rifles. Makes you a little bit more accurate. However, I would describe this roll overall as kind of middling. It's definitely not a god roll for me, even though I do like linear fusion rifles, and I also like Tarantula. And then finally, we've got the Keening, which has got Slideways and Zen Moment. Zen Moment is a really good perk for sidearms. Slideways, maybe, if you're sliding around and shooting a bunch of people with your sidearm. I'm not sure how you play with your sidearm, but might be good. But overall this week, it's sort of a lot of mid-tier rolls, in my opinion. So not a ton to get excited about. Maybe if you're missing one of these weapons and want to add it to your collection, you can do so, though. And then moving on to armor, this week we're only going to look at Titan armor because, once again, old Snakeface has snaked us with some not great rolls. However, there is one decent roll for Titan, so we're going to look at that. As with a lot of the armor this week, it's sort of just low tier, not very high stat, and also not very spiky. You can kind of see some of that here. This one is spiky with 22 mobility, unfortunately, in all the right spots, and with overall stats being low. Don't really love it. However, The one piece of legendary armor we got this week, which is right here, is the chest piece. 64 overall stats, which, you know, that's sort of the minimum barrier of entry for me to consider it. And it's got spiky recovery, decent discipline, decent intellect, and, you know, its mobility is probably higher than I want on a Titan. But overall, I saw this and I was like, all right, this is okay, considering how bad a lot of the exotics and armor are this week. But yeah, overall, between the armor, between hunters and warlocks, which we're not even going to look at this week, some mid-tier weapons, and some unfortunately really low rolls here on the exotics, the headline this week is, if you need stuff to fill out your collections, there's a lot of good stuff here. However, if you're looking for god rolls, you probably best look elsewhere, because he doesn't have a lot going on this week. And that's a wrap on Xur. As always, we'll be back next week to look at his inventory and give you our recommendations. And for everything else related to Destiny, stick with IGN.